Dan here. Today we are going to talk about how I analyze and trade futures using Fibonacci retracements. These are the same strategies that I have used to earn funded accounts with Top Step Trader, One-Up Trader, Earn to Trade. It's what I teach in the trade room for my members to also earn funded accounts or just provide some consistency with their trading and just maybe a better way to analyze the markets and trade and provide more consistency. So before we get started, if you like the content, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, share the video. All of that really helps and I appreciate it. So getting into this video here, we're going to talk about the NASDAQ and we'll go over some analysis and some setups that I took this week, winners and losers, so this can help you in your trading. So going over what we have here, this is a daily time frame. I tend to start off with my analysis on a daily time frame. Then I'll work down to an hourly chart and then a 15-minute chart, and then we'll get down to the day trading time frames, which to me are 5-minute and then tick charts. And if you don't know what a tick chart is, we'll talk about that later, but a tick chart is basically measuring the transactions or trades that come through rather than a time interval. And we'll go over that later. So looking at the NASDAQ here, we're looking at a daily chart, and we have this high to this low. This is a 50% short. This is 15,236.75. We are seeing shorts participate off of this short setup so far. And so I was able to take a short setup today. I had a couple shorts yesterday as well, and we'll talk about those setups. On the low end here, we have this draw that comes from our highs of February 2020. And that has traded off of its 38.2 level, this blue level here of 14,092. So looking at the NASDAQ right now, we could actually draw a low to high 50% long, and this could be the next larger time frame setup to trade here in the NASDAQ, 14,483. And so we'll see if that ends up happening, today or tomorrow, or if not, then maybe next week. So right now we have a 50% short. We see there's some potential support down here at our lows around 14,092. And so what we're going to do from here is go down to our hourly time frame and see the other setups that are occurring. So on an hourly time frame, what we see is the range from last week, and those that were in my room, they know that I didn't have any trades Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. I was flat. There was nothing for me to really take. We were in this range, and typically in a range, I like to look for shorts at highs and longs at lows. That's the best way to trade a range, obviously, but just nothing was that clear for me, and so I didn't have any trades. But sometimes you have to be patient, sit on hands, and you just don't have anything. So moving on to this week, I actually started off Monday and Tuesday. I had some long trades, and Monday I had a loser, and Tuesday I had a couple winners, and then Wednesday, I want to talk about Wednesday and Thursday because there were some really nice trade setups Wednesday and Thursday. So looking at Wednesday and Thursday, we are coming off of the larger time frame 50% short. This is that daily 50% short setup that we talked about, 15,236.75. So what I'm going to do from here is go down to a 5-minute chart, and we're going to begin looking for some potential day trades and trades that I also took on Wednesday. So on Wednesday, what happened was there were actually a couple long setups in the morning, and I don't have them charted up here, but basically I had 2 long trades, and both of those trades lost. I ended up losing. I usually have 2 contracts a trade, depends on the ATR, which is that average true range, and how much the market's moving with volatility. But for the most part, I'll usually have 2 contracts, and I'll try to have that second contract scale to a larger target. Normally at least go 2 times the risk, but try to get 3 to 5 times the risk when I can. That first contract will just go for the stop size. Every now and then I'll try to get risk 1 to make 2 on that first contract, but typically the first contract is risk 1 to make 1. Second contract, I'll try to get 2, 3, 4, 5 times the risk that I put in. So looking at the NASDAQ here, like I said, I had 2 losers. The first loser was 2 contracts, 10 points each, so I lost 20 points. And the second loser was 2 contracts, 15 points each, so I lost 50 points total, 30 points for that trade. So I was down 50 points on Wednesday. And what we ended up doing was we came into a 50% short, 176 quarter, and that traded just after the bell had rung. So we see this 176 quarter go down and complete its target. And I had some long trades around, the 140s. I had some long trades down at around 112 half or so, and those obviously just didn't hold or didn't work like I talked about. And so we ended up completing a target. This negative 23.6, that's a target that you can look at there for the Fibonacci setups. So what I like to do when it comes to trading is I want to see what sequences are holding, meaning are longs holding and completing targets, or are shorts holding and completing their targets. And then that's the trend that I want to trade. And I want to make sure on top of that that the trend that I'm day trading corresponds to a larger time frame trend that is currently trading in the NASDAQ. So in this case, we do have a daily 50% short at 236.75. So for the larger time frame, we do have valid resistance above us. That's going to help, give me confidence to look for more shorts. On the micro time frame, we see, again, this is a tick chart, so every 987 trades or transactions, there's going to be a new tick. I want to move this down to a 512. So every 512 trades or transactions, there is going to be a new candle. Okay, that's what this tick chart is. So here we trade the 50% short, 176 quarter, and we end up completing the target. What I end up doing is I end up looking for the same setup drawn to its new low. That was a 102, if you round down, 102 quarter. I entered at 102, and I ended up having, for this trade, it was an 18-point stop and then a 33-point second target. Now, for that second contract, I typically will go, at the least, I will go for 2 times the risk. So it should have been 36 points. The reason why it was 33 instead of 36 when I take this trade at 102 is because we come into the opposing long setup. So I exited at 15,069. I exited at this potential support because I knew that we could trade this and then turn around. That is essentially what happened, although we did go deeper. So I could have gotten that 36-point move, but it's 33 points is still 33 points, and I'll take that. And just like that, I'm now up a point in the NASDAQ. I lost 50 between 2 trades, and then I was able to make 18 and 33 between both of those contracts on this short setup from 102. So obviously that covers commissions and a little bit more, but not much. So then what ends up happening is if we take this same setup drawn to its new low, we trade at 143 quarter. Now, again, this setup here, this is the 176 quarter. And then what I did, because we completed the target, is I take the same high to the new low. Sorry, the new lower high to its new low. And that was the 102 setup. Once we break this setup, and a break in this case is when we break above the 61.8, once we break this short, I'm anticipating the move into the same setup drawn to its new low that traded before. So 143 quarter, 143, that's this setup here. That ends up trading. I don't have any orders here, so I don't have anything. What I do end up taking, we draw the opposing long. Remember last time we talked about this. We trade that 50% long, but then we break beneath the 61.8. And so technically, because of this, because we are trading the short setup and the long setup isn't holding, we break beneath the 61.8. That's going to validate shorts even more. So shorts can enter the market and head lower. So taking this high to that low is what gives us the 50% short at 15,120. I didn't have that trade. I was actually typing something up, and I probably should have had this trade. I didn't have this trade. It's a great setup. It's a valid setup. Just didn't have it. We end up going down to the target, and so what do I do is exactly like last time. I'm going to draw from this high that we just had to its new low. So the new lower high that we put in from the new 50% short setup, that high to the most recent new low that we created from that short, after the target completes, is the next setup. And I end up taking that short at 15,079 flat. And that also, this was an 11-point stop because I put my stop right outside the 61.8 here. So it's basically about 90 is my stop. And then I have an 11-point first target and then a 30-point second target. Now this did run to its target down at 15,015. So you could have had like a 50 to 60 point second target on this trade. I didn't have that though. I did 11 points and 30 points. So I still got almost 3 times my risk by exiting at 30. And then obviously with that trade, I ended up having a decent day. I went from being negative 50 points to about break even. And then with this short setup right here, I end up going up 41 points. So a little bit over 40 points on the day. And after being down 50, I can't really complain about that. It was a good way to make back my losses and end positive. So what ends up happening the rest of the day is we do complete the target down here at 14,971. And just like what we've been talking about, you can take the high of that setup and draw to the new low that we created because of the target completion. What ends up happening is we trade this 50% short of 15,055. Now this ends up getting a reaction. We trade this area, we move lower briefly, but then we actually end up breaking this short setup. And so now what we want to do is take this same high to its new low. So 15,175 trades. This ends up completing its target at 866 quarter, and this is what's going to bring us into today. So what I ended up trading today, we can see we complete 2 targets here, negative 23.6, negative 61.8. Sometimes when this occurs, you get more aggressive selling. So because we have more aggressive selling, we may see a low to low setup rather than a high to low setup for the shorts. So what ends up going on here is if we draw from the low of the prior setup that we traded to our new low, that's what we tagged this morning. That was a 776 and 808 quarter. So moving into that tick chart again, only had 1 trade this morning. So we traded this resistance level here, the 776. And all I'm going to do is draw the opposing 50% long. So that low to high 50% long here at 737, we end up breaking beneath 722. So by breaking below 722, that's going to validate a short setup. And I do want to mention in the trade room here, I end up mentioning how there's a live example right now. Someone in the room was asking me a question very similar to what this setup was this morning. And what they had asked me was basically about how if we break in opposing, does that validate the next setup and everything there. So I say if NASDAQ breaks below 722, that will break the opposing micro long and it will validate the shorts even more. The short target will become validated and the next micro 50% short could basically trade. And so I ended up mentioning how, 752 quarter, and then it ended up being 751 half. And I sent a picture in there, and that's the same setup that we're going to talk about here. So when we look at this, again, break below 722, because we break this long setup. So we break below 722. Now what we want to do is take this high to our new low. And that ended up being the 751 half like we talked about in the trade room there. I entered at 751 quarter, and because of the 61.8 being about 12 points away, I had a 12-point stop and a 12-point first target, and then I aimed for 30 points on the second contract, and that ended up completing. So I put up 12 to get 12, and then 12 to get 30, and that completed for a total of 42 points. And that was my last trade of the day, my only trade of the day, because it's kind of like a Friday to me. I'm not trading tomorrow, so I typically only trade one or two trades on a Friday, and so to me today's kind of like a Friday, so only took that one trade and that was it. But I stated it in the trade room here. We were able to talk about it before it happened, and then I sent a screenshot as well before it happened, and then we talked about that trade as it went. So very technical market and everything there. Now we did end up completing that target at 681.75, so that was good to see. What we ultimately ended up doing was we went ahead and we traded that resistance level again. And I actually mentioned later on how, so the NASDAQ is still inside the micro extension short. This is revalidated, so the 50% level 808 quarter could become retested. So what ended up happening was we actually did come up here, and we didn't quite get there. We were 3 points shy, high of 805 quarter. We came just a few points shy of trading 808 quarter. So we'll see. But very, very close to that trading, which would have been, it's always nice to see when your analysis plays out. But that was pretty close. So we ended up trading that resistance, and then we fell lower, and then we completed the target of 612. So 612 became completed, and now we are completing another second target of 14,510. So that is a couple examples of the trades that I took yesterday and today in the NASDAQ. Obviously, I went over some of the setups. It wasn't too in-depth. If you want to get more analysis, or you want to see, if you want to learn how I trade these strategies more in-depth and more hands-on, then come try out the trade room. We got a great community building in here, some members. Some of them are close to earning funded accounts as well through Top Step, Apex, OneUp Trader, Earn to Trade, all of those funding firms. So if you're interested in learning how to trade Fibonacci like I presented here today, or you're trying to become more consistent in your trading and you need something else to give you an edge, come out and try the trade room. Every morning I send market analysis. There's a write-up and a video that goes along with that. There's levels that are sent out every morning. We have a premium trade room so we can talk to each other throughout the morning, and then we go live twice a week with review sessions on Sunday nights. We go over stocks, and then of course learning videos, learning documents. We go over a lot of setups and examples that involve Fibonacci and how I've learned to trade them. So any questions or comments, feel free to drop them below in the comment section. Otherwise, if you enjoy the content, please like it, please subscribe, please share, and I look forward to seeing you join the trade room if you want to try it out. It is a 1-week free trial, but otherwise, take care, trade safe with the volatility, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.